What is going on, everyone? It is me, the LoneVaultWanderer, and I haven't even checked what week podcast this is because it's been so disorientated, me organizing this podcast. I have two guests that I actually just got together at the last second, essentially. So I'll get them to introduce themselves and I'll explain where Maddie is and where Noah is. So, Mr. G, would you like to introduce yourself?
Hey, everybody. Thanks for having me. I'm super excited. I'm Mr. G. I write music and I live stream. I wrote an album called Songs in the Key of Fallout, and I wrote 88 songs in 88 days leading up to the release of Fallout 4, and that is my current claim to fame.
So I'll make sure Maddie includes his channel in the description below. Go check it out. He also made a music video about my online persona. Is that correct? LoneVaultWanderer?
Yes, I did. I actually did Lone Vault Wanderer theme song. And I did one for Sugar Bombed. And I think I did one, I don't know. I did a couple because I had to write 88 songs. So
sweet. That's
I was
awesome.
Digging for whatever I could.
Alrighty. So again, link to his channels in the description below and also Twitter handles on screen right now. And our second guest, we have Moodude, a Canada person.
I can't. Oh, good one. I'm Moodude, also known as Alessandro by most human beings.
It's a beautiful name, by the way.
I'm on Twitter at Moodude34, and I like video games, I guess, and going out for long strolls on the beach.
We should hook up later if that's what you like, Sandro. Your name is beautiful, by the way. Alessandro. It's Italian, isn't it?
Thank you.
That's great.
Yeah, it is. I can't speak Italian at all, though. But
I tried to learn Italian back in high school, and it's just... I was there for 5 years, however long it was, and I just can't remember a single word except for, like, hello and bye. And even that is scratchy at best. So, as I said, Maddie and Noah aren't here. Maddie had I think it was his grandma's birthday or something, so he's off having a good time, so I said that I'd do the podcast this week, and that's why it's kind of cobbled together at the last second, but we actually do have a fair bit of news to get through. So this is the part of the podcast where Maddie will say Sugar Bomb t-shirts, everything is linked below. Hopefully the iTunes and Google Play links for the podcast come up soon. I know there's been troubles with that, so I'll make sure Maddie's aware of it. But aside from that, I think we're all done with that. So let's start talking about Bethesda news, the very first segment. And Moodude, you said you were still playing Nuka World. No, but then you cancelled, you stopped because you couldn't finish it. Can you explain that for a second before we start about this news topic?
I went to Nuka World. Game crashed about 10 times because I put the mods in.
Yes.
So
it was your fault, is what you're saying.
Yeah, basically.
Yeah.
And then I finally got it working, and I got pretty far through the storyline, and I think so, at least. I have no idea because I don't know the ending yet. I haven't spoiled it for myself, but I've basically gone mostly through Galactic World or whatever it's called, Galactic Zone. Sorry, and I just haven't found all the star cores, so I just kind of raged and just kind of left it there. And it's been like a few weeks since then, but like I'm slowly kind of trying to trickle back into finding those star cores.
Awesome. Now, the reason why I got him to describe that story is because Fallout 4 is getting a new patch that is fixing Nuka World's quest-breaking bug. I didn't even know there was a quest-breaking bug. To be honest, I want to be transparent now. I haven't really played Nuka World. I know I'm the devil and I shouldn't be a Fallout fan, but I haven't. So
not a true fan.
I know, right? Let me describe this article and we can talk about it. Bethesda today released a new patch for Fallout 4 on PC and Xbox One. Not PS4 though. That makes tweaks to the base game and the Nuka World, Far Harbor, and Contraptions Workshop expansions. The update for Fallout 4 makes general updates to Bethesda.net mods. I'm sorry, PlayStation guys, I really am. No specifics were provided, but this could be related to new comment moderation tools for mod authors that Bethesda discussed earlier this week. As for Nuka World, the new update fixes a problem where the Grand Tour mission could not be completed if Gage was your active companion when you started the quest. The PlayStation 4 patch will come sometime later, Bethesda said, though it did not provide any kind of timetable for its release. And the Bethesda said even less about the Far Harbor and Contraptions Workshop expansions. And they were just minor updates. So, Mr. G, you've been playing through Nuka World, is that correct?
I have been. I have been playing through Nuka World.
What do you think of it, and have you encountered any of these kinds of bugs or crashes or anything like that?
Well, okay, so I haven't encountered any bugs or any weird, no, nothing. It's worked flawlessly. Now, I don't know how many hours I have in. I'm playing once a week on Wednesday nights at 6 p.m. PST, and I'm live streaming it. And
that's gonna take you forever to get through. That sucks.
It's gonna take me a while. I'll probably break down and on a Saturday do like a 4-hour, just game-a-thon and catch up.
Mm-hmm.
No, I haven't experienced anything yet. I've had a lot of fun with it. There's some cool stuff. I really like I don't know if I don't want to give anything away for those who haven't played it yet, but I like there's a ghoul area in that won't say too much. And I really like the story, at least the little thing that goes along with that is pretty cool. So I have enjoyed it so far.
I've said this before the podcast recorded, and I'll say it on podcast right now. I don't care. I haven't really played Nuka World. I just haven't had the time when I've been focusing on other things. So I wanted to ask, and I'll start with you, Moo Dude. How is the whole being evil raider thing? Is it like in a genuine way? Can you actually be an evil raider, or is it kind of just like, you can, but you're still kind of forced to be the good guy?
You can be an evil raider. You can, if you actually just go straight to Nuka World from Vault 111, and then you can still rescue Preston Garvey even if you're the leader of Nuka World. But then once you go to Sanctuary, he'll get mad at you and be like, "I know what you've done. No more settlements. We'll need your help."
Yes, my dream.
But I'm pretty sure you can get him to like you again if you kill all the raiders at Nuka World. But essentially, all you can really do in the Commonwealth to be mean is just kill all the settlers in a settlement and just take it for yourself, or just tell them to leave by convincing them. And that's essentially it. You're just basically taking over settlements with just a new faction.
That sounds all right, though. I mean, at least we're given the chance to do something evil, and that's what I really wanted with this DLC, even though I haven't gotten the chance to play it yet. What do you think, G? Is there anything you want to add to that?
Well, I thought it was... I mean, I'll be honest, I thought it was weird that I was my character that I normally am going into Nuka World, and I played it like I've been playing it, like I'm the good guy, and I'm me trying to make decisions and not like I didn't feel like it ever made me violate that, if that makes sense. Like it didn't make me cross a boundary where I'm like, oh, I just did something that's not in line with what my character was. I think I could because they're raiders. So I'm not feeling bad about taking them out because they've been nothing but a pain in my butt since the very beginning of all time in Fallout, right?
Yeah.
So raiders are always horrible, evil people who are hanging people's carcasses in their houses or whatever.
Yeah.
I like I have a friend. His name's Mazurf, and he loves like the dark side of being like he loved the additions in the builder, where you can add all the raider stuff everywhere.
Yeah.
So, I mean, if you want to build yourself like a custom, layer of Doom, raider layer of Doom, this is probably super awesome.
But you can be the good guy, right? Like you said that you've always been a good guy and you went into this DLC, which seems to be evil raider orientated, but you can still be a good person, correct?
Oh, yeah, totally. I don't feel like I'm being I'm working with the raider. I'm sort of like you become like the king of the raiders, I guess. I guess you can avoid that, but I feel like you wouldn't have much of the story.
Yeah,
but I don't feel like I'm like I don't know how it's going to end. Like I don't know if I'm going to turn and shoot everybody or go, oh, maybe not all the raiders are so bad.
Yeah, fair enough.
I don't know. I don't know what their intention was with that, but I'm liking it.
Okay, cool. Alrighty. Well, that was just a quick 4i4 update. Honestly, at this stage, the news well has well and truly run dry. And Bethesda, and I think a lot of the fan base, unless you're modding the game, sorry, PS4 players again, are moving on to different things. So we should do the same. We're talking about now the Skyrim Remaster. There was just something that I wanted to update on before I talk about the next Skyrim news. So there's a Skyrim Remaster Dragonborn bundle that includes a Dovahkiin mask. For anyone that's interested, I believe it's $75 in the US and it's probably like $300 in Australia. So for $75, I know, you can buy a Dragonborn bundle which comes with a Dovahkiin mask and a physical copy of the game in a collectible steelbook case. You can wear the soft-looking hat while playing the game to become the Dragonborn while playing as the dragon. That's a terrible word play in an article. That's shocking. Come on, GameSpot, lift your game. But the next piece of Skyrim news, which I thought was interesting and I wanted to talk about, is to celebrate the release of Skyrim Remastered, there's actually a concert taking place, a live concert in London, I believe, that's essentially the game soundtrack for Skyrim. But apparently, the original composer for the Skyrim soundtrack, and his name is Jeremy Soule, of course it is, he isn't a fan of the upcoming concert for the game. So he claims that the orchestra won't be using any of his original scores. Instead, the performers had to transcribe the notations they are performing by ear, which Soule calls a flawed process that's fraught with errors. I just wanted to talk about this because I find it very interesting, and I find Skyrim's soundtrack, and this is especially because whenever I do a Skyrim video, I always get the music for it for the background, so I always have a listen to it, and it's an absolutely phenomenal, beautiful soundtrack. And I know while you guys haven't, I know Moo Dude, you said I want to put you out to dry on this podcast. You said you didn't really like Skyrim, but
how could you?
I know, Mr. G. I don't know if you've played Skyrim or not.
I loved Skyrim, man. It was Oblivion led me to Bethesda.
Okay.
And then I went Fallout 3 and then Skyrim. I loved it. I thought it was great.
So what do you we'll start with you. What do you think about this? You know, the original Skyrim composer isn't involved in the process, and his original scores aren't even being used in this live concert.
Well, as a musician, I think it feels kind of jacked up. Like there's this trickle down thing where you try to get everything cheaper and you find a cheaper way to do it so you can make bigger profits. And I think probably that's part of what there was going on. It was too expensive to have him do it. So they find a cheap facsimile of it and do it. Now, I don't know what their agreement was. I mean, they probably paid him for the rights to the music. So I'm guessing they own that music and they can have whoever they want perform it. So, I mean, I can relate as a musician, like that feeling of being jilted. I don't know if that means he isn't going to get royalties and get paid for that at some point, or if he's already been paid all he's going to get paid. It's interesting. I don't know. It's just I don't know how horrible or different it will sound, or if it's just going to offend him personally because he composed every single note, and so he hears some guy playing a G when it should be a G flat or something, and he's kind of wincing in his mind.
What about you, Moo Dude? Do you think it's somewhat disingenuous to fans that, I'm assuming that most of the people in attendance are going to be fans of the franchise. I can't imagine anyone that would attend a Skyrim live concert just because they're interested in musical theater. Maybe people are. Like, maybe people are interested in just the music side or aspect of things. But do you think it might be a little bit disingenuous to fans that are sitting in this event and they listen and they think, this doesn't really sound like the Skyrim soundtrack? Well, what do you think about that?
Yeah, I think it probably would be, because I might not like Skyrim, but I did defeat Alduin or whatever on my Xbox.
Yeah.
But the soundtrack was phenomenal, and
of course,
it was great. And I downloaded it on my phone a few weeks later after that. But I think that if the orchestra is trying to put it in their own things, put it in their own music sheets by ear, obviously they're going to get some stuff wrong, and obviously some hardcore fans will
pick up on it,
probably get triggered.
Triggered.
But I think they probably know what they're doing to an extent, but I think people will notice a difference though, and I think some fans will definitely be upset.
I think more fans would be upset, say if they were to, for example, we're going to completely redo the soundtrack for Skyrim Remastered just to up the quality a little bit because it was recorded in 2011, we have better tools, so we're going to make the music even better and add that to the game. And they didn't involve the original composer at that stage, then I would see, Skyrim fans thinking, well, you should probably include him, even if it's just to get the music just right. But, this is kind of like an offside thing. It's a live concert. Who knows? It's probably not going to be streamed or anything like that. It could be made available for purchase on a disc or whatever, or a digital file. So, I do feel shitty for him because, he worked on this thing for however many years, and he had absolutely no involvement. He even said that he doesn't know anyone who will be part of the event and, quote, won't endorse a concert that is trading on my name and music that has absolutely no oversight or involvement on my part. So he seems to be a bit ticked off about this.
He does sound ticked off.
Yeah.
I get it.
Yeah, and I'd probably get it as well. You know, if I was one, a musician, but two, actually involved in the process, and then to kind of be cut out from it. But you know, again, I think it would be an even more, or in an even worse situation if they were trying to redo the entire soundtrack and said, all right, we're not going to involve the original composer. So yeah, I guess it was just an interesting topic that I wanted to bring up. We don't really need to dwell on it anymore. But on game soundtracks, this is another quick update. Doom's game soundtrack is now being made available to be listened to outside of the game, which is awesome because Doom soundtrack, even though I don't really like the hard metal rock music, etc., it really did fit the theme of the game. Have either of you played Doom at all, the single player?
I have. I haven't beaten it,
demo.
but I played the demo on my computer, and then I played some of it at my friend's house.
So, and Mr. G, what about you?
Same thing. I played the demo and I thought it was great. I thought it felt really good to play, you know.
And especially
that's another one, like
when you get to these points in the game where it's kind of like somewhat silent, there might be some ambient music, and then the music starts playing, the fucking metal hardcore rock, and you think, oh shit, there's enemies coming. It really does add to the intensity of the game. And I think it's absolutely awesome. But to be honest, Doom soundtrack for me isn't kind of music that I'd listen to in my spare time or while I'm studying or working. Fallout soundtrack or Bioshock soundtrack, yeah, it's nice, you know, 1940s, 50s jazz blue music. But listening to this hardcore stuff when you're not playing Doom, I don't know, it's a bit weird to me.
It's a little stressful.
Yeah, it's got to be really, really edgy to listen to that in your spare time.
Yeah, it'd be interesting. Yeah. But Bethesda has released the soundtrack for purchase, and you can buy it on both iTunes, for $10, Google Play for $9.49, whatever the difference is, and it can actually be streamed through Spotify because Spotify has its own little new gaming section, which is really cool, and it actually has like a soundtrack from Assassin's Creed and Fallout, which I was listening to. It's really awesome actually. So if anyone's interested, it's there. You can probably find the articles really easily by Googling it. And probably the biggest update or news topic for today's Bethesda segment is Dishonored 2. So, first of all, pre-ordering Dishonored 2 lets you play the game a day early, which I think is cool. And also, I still believe it's the case if you pre-order Dishonored 2, you actually get Dishonored 1 Definitive Edition or one of those editions for free. I'm not too sure if it differs between PC and console, but it's an interesting prospect, and I know some people don't like the whole pre-order culture, and I get that. But if you are interested in playing it a day early, then this is something for you to think about. But I guess the main topic is there's been a bunch of Dishonored 2 gameplay footage been released about this Clockwork Mansion mission that I actually got the chance to play earlier this week. I went to a Bethesda event and I got to play 2 to 3 hours of it as both Emily and Corvo, which was really fun. And then there was an embargo to release that news. And then about a couple of days after, Bethesda released their own trailers for it and their own analysis of it. So I'll describe it a little bit more. They released both a high chaos and a low chaos trailer for this mission, which I really like. So it's essentially...
What does that mean?
I'll show you what
high chaos, low chaos.
You can play the original Dishonored and, of course, Dishonored 2 in two different ways, essentially. You can play it as a high chaos or a low chaos person. If you're high chaos, you're essentially killing everyone. And if you're low chaos, you're essentially incapacitating people or not really killing people or dealing with your assassination targets in a different way aside from killing them. And that affects the results of the game and how the story progresses. And also in the original Dishonored, it affects how Emily, who you can play now as in Dishonored 2, how she was as a person. So if you played as a high chaos Corvo, she would be more dark. Like the paintings she'd draw as a child are much more dark and evil. But if you play as a good person, as low chaos, then she, much more bright,
Rainbows,
colorful painting.
unicorns.
Exactly. Yeah. And I like, first of all, how they're showing these two different aspects of playing as Dishonored 2 in the trailers, because the previous trailer that they released for Corvo was very gritty, intense, killing people, was clearly high chaos. So I like how they distinguished this. But I guess I'll ask you guys, we'll start with you, Mr. G. How closely have you followed the whole Dishonored 2 news hype thing, and are you going to be picking it up because you haven't played the original?
Okay. So I've seen it everywhere because I'm a Bethesda fan.
Yeah.
So I mean, I know it's there. I know from you guys, like I'm always hearing you guys talk about it. But I didn't play the first one. I think I did a demo.
Yeah.
And I'm not sure because I'm a parent. I have 3 kids. I'm a full-time teacher.
So you have no time to play games.
I don't have a lot of time, right? So when I play a game, like I'm all like Fallout, man, I'm all in.
Yeah.
And so this game looks really cool. It looks super cool from what I've seen, but again, I haven't dug in super hard, so I'm not sold yet, and I'm hoping that maybe you can sway me to the dark side of Dishonored 2.
I probably could. Moo Dude, we'll get your thoughts, and then I'll give a bit of a spiel.
I've mostly been following the news off your channel and then off of.
You damn right you have. Thank you, Moo Dude.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I am a true fan. But I watched the High Chaos trailer and that looked pretty cool. I didn't get a chance to watch the Low Chaos trailer.
Yeah.
But I'm definitely gonna be picking up Dishonored 2. Most likely picking up the definitive edition because I haven't played 1 yet.
You need to play it. You need to play the original.
Yeah, that's what also a lot of people have been saying to me. So. Looks like it's going to be a great game, and I'm really excited for that. So probably definitely going to be picking it up.
So Dishonored 2, in many different ways, is connected story-wise to the original Dishonored. It's not like a Far Cry or something like that, where you can kind of play the sequel, or even a Skyrim, where you can kind of play the sequel without playing the previous game. Dishonored 2 is very much a true sequel in the sense that it's connected storyline-wise. Like, you're playing as Emily for a reason, and I won't give spoilers in that regard, but to people that haven't played Dishonored, I'll say that if you like stealthy games, if you like playing as that assassin or, the original Thief games, then you'd enjoy the original Dishonored because it's very much like that. I wouldn't necessarily say that it has the greatest story in the world. It's something that keeps the game going along and gives you a reason to do the things that you're doing. But the gameplay, I think, is really where Dishonored shines. You have these different powers. In the original game as Corvo, you have these powers at your disposal that are very fun to use and to mix up with all the weapons that you have. You can be very stealthy-like. You can play low chaos and high chaos, so either killing everyone or not killing everyone. You can replay the game again to see how the game plays from that different perspective, because it changes it up completely when you're going around killing everyone to complete the game versus when you're trying to be more stealthy and using sleep darts and making people unconscious. It changes it up a lot. And the fact that now in Dishonored 2 there are 2 characters, each of which you can do a low chaos and high chaos, and because they have 2 different sets of powers, there's essentially 4 times you can replay this game with different elements. So I think that's really, really cool. And the original game, because it was just Corvo that you could play as, it's more so too. And I haven't played the DLC for the original Dishonored, but apparently the DLC is really good as well. So I want to finish that off. But again, if you're a fan of those original Thief games, or even Assassin's Creed to a lesser extent, and you like playing those stealthy games, then I'd recommend Dishonored to anyone. I think it's really cool. And the lore of the game. I was just going
to say that it looked a little bit like Assassin's Creed. Just looking at screenshots,
yeah,
I feel there's a little bit of that Assassin's Creed element in there.
Definitely.
And it definitely does feel like Thief. I've played that game, and it does look a lot like Thief.
Have you played the original Thief or like the recent one?
What's the original? I've only played the one that was on Steam, I think.
Yeah, so I think that's the more recent one. Like, I don't know why, because I haven't necessarily played Thief, but a lot of people say that the original Thief was a bit more stealthy, and the new one wasn't as good and didn't really stay true to the original. And that's said about a lot of games, let's be honest. But I don't know, like, apparently there's a difference, so that's why I kept emphasizing the original Thief, because apparently that stealthy aspect is much more pervasive in that game. But in any event, I'd recommend Dishonored to anyone, and then if you're interested in pre-ordering Dishonored 2, you can to play the game early, and also you get the original Dishonored for free. I'm not too sure if you get it for free now or whether you have to, it releases to you on the release of Dishonored 2. I don't know. But it's something to think about if you are interested in getting into the franchise. So that wraps up our Bethesda news segment, about 25 minutes. That's not bad. So now let's get into what we've been playing and our favorite gaming news bits. So I asked these two to think about it, but I'm not sure if they have. I'm pretty sure that Mr. G...
I thought about it.
You did? All right, so we can start with you. What have you been playing, and what's your favorite gaming news bit, if you have both?
Okay, well, there's two games that I was playing when I was before Nuka World came out. I had kind of stopped playing Fallout. I'm like, I'd beat it, I'd played through it, I loved it, but I was ready for something new.
Yeah.
And I'd seen my son and his friends had been playing this game called 7 Days to Die.
Oh, God.
I love that game. I don't know about any. Have you played it? Have you guys played this
Never.
game?
I have. I got it when it was in early alpha build, I think.
I love it. I played it. I played so much of that until Nuka World came out.
So what is
totally
it about exactly, though?
It's like a zombie apocalypse kind of sandbox build it thing.
Yeah. It's in it. I'll tell you what, it gave me a little bit of that Fallout. There, it feels a little bit. I mean, would you agree that there's a little bit of Fallout there? But it's got the crafting element is way easier, and you can craft anywhere at any time. Kind of like it's got like that Minecraft destructibility of the world, where you can build anything. But it's got this zombie impending doom thing, like where every night, like a horde of zombies is coming, or every 7 nights, you have another giant horde that comes through.
And it kind of feels like a bit like Fallout New Vegas. Well, you have a lot of a plain kind of boring-ish area, and then you find like a big city or like a big town after walking like the highway or the road for like a long time.
Yeah. I loved it. Was another one of those games where the discovery element of the game was so cool that you'd find something, you're like, oh my gosh, like that's so rad. Look, there's like this huge building in the background, and you know that there's going to be a ton of junk in there, and there's going to be zombies hiding, and a lot of jump scares for me, like just getting freaked out. And then I've been playing Fallout 4 Nuka World and screaming like a girl when the ghouls jump at me, like And by the way, screaming like a girl is like a really tough thing to do, because
of course it is.
Girls scream really well.
No, they scream loud, and it hurts when they scream.
Right. It's a much better, more powerful scream. So that is not a. I failed. Okay, so she's gonna slap me up real good later. I freak every time those ghouls like surprise me. Like I just because they do that jumping thing, and it just I lose it. So I've been having a lot of fun with Nuka World and 7 Days to Die. And that's what I've been playing of late.
Do you have any gaming news, or nothing has really tickled your fancy this week?
Nah, I mean, no. I'm just the gaming news. Dishonored 2 now is on my radar.
Yeah. It's been very, I guess, seriously, this past couple of months in terms of gaming news, it's been rather quiet. I mean, we've been waiting fucking how long for news on Nintendo NX. I'm really excited for that. We're still waiting on Project Scorpio, seeing what that's going to be. We did have the PlayStation 4 Pro release, so that was interesting. But Moo Dude, what about you? What have you been playing, and do you have any favorite gaming news bits from this week?
I've mostly been playing probably Far Cry 4, because I've been trying to 100% that game on the hardest difficulty. Oh, and that's been. It's been a challenge.
Is there an achievement tied to the fact that it has to be the hardest difficulty?
I'm pretty sure. I forget what it's called, but I'm pretty sure there is, because there is like a percent thing when you pause the game.
Yeah.
Of how much of the game you've explored and collected and missions you've done and everything. But I'm not just doing the 100% of what the achievement is needed for.
Yeah.
I'm also discovering like every location, and I'm grabbing every loot crate.
Jesus.
And I'm doing everything. And I don't know. I like, because when you press M, right, to look at your map, you see like everything that you haven't touched, like including loot crates and outposts and all these different things. And then I just like it. So like I clear an area totally, so then it just looks like a map, not like a map with like all these little different small things on it.
Yeah.
Also, I've been playing Counter-Strike Global Offensive.
Of course.
A little bit.
Yeah.
Been getting back into that.
I was always so bad at that game. Even at just first of all, I've never really been a PC gamer, so I've mostly been on console. So not only going to PC shooters, but going to Counter-Strike, I just got destroyed. It's fucking terrible watching me play.
Yeah, same with me. I grew up with the GameCube, and then I had an Xbox 360, and then that was when I first played Call of Duty on my Xbox. And then I ended up getting a laptop, and then that was the first time I got Counter-Strike, and then I played it for like an hour, and I was horrible at it. I couldn't do anything in it, just like you said. And then I didn't play it for like probably a good 4 or 5 years. And then maybe about 2 years ago or so, when I was like 14, I started getting back into it because when I got into high school, lots of people were playing it and talking about it. So I was like, oh, okay. And I'm still not good by any means, but
Now, you said something interesting there. You said that you grew up with a GameCube. I find that to be fascinating because I think GameCube was one of the most underestimated consoles. Like that, it had not a huge suite of games, but it had a decent set of games, like Mario Sunshine or whatever it was called.
That's my favorite game of all time.
Really? I knew
ever
it.
created.
How good was that game?
Right there, it's in a bag right now. Oh, it's literally like imagine happiness and then multiply it by like 1 billion. And then just like add like God Howard like light to that. And then you got Fallout, and then you got Super Mario Sunshine. Almost said Fallout there. But I don't know. I grew up with that game, and that was like one of the very first games I ever really got into and actually finished.
Yeah, I really like, especially with people from different ages, hearing about the games and the consoles that they grew up with, because I essentially grew up with the Super Nintendo and then a Nintendo 64. So I was playing the Super Marios of that time before Super Mario Sunshine. And I never owned a GameCube, but my brother's friend managed to lend us it for a while. And I played Super Mario Sunshine and I played Wind Waker. Fuck, that console, even though it was underestimated and one of the lower selling Nintendo consoles, which they seem to do, they alternate between a really good selling console and a really shitty selling console. Super Mario Sunshine, Wind Waker, those games were awesome. I loved them.
And then I also have a James Bond on my GameCube.
What James Bond do you have on the GameCube?
1 sec. It's right there. 1 sec.
Let me show you all my games. He's like a little kid again.
I'm gonna pull it out. Nice. Legit.
He's getting it now.
I never had a Nintendo.
What did you have, Mr. G?
God damn it.
I had so I grew up with a TRS-80, the Radio Shack.
What is that?
Cassette.
What?
It was the Trash 80. It was probably one of the first. It was right before it. So the games were like 32K.
Oh my
64K.
Oh my god.
And I remember. Okay, so this is an old man story. I remember when we
back in my day.
Agent Under Fire.
Games uphill both ways. No, we had games on cassette.
What did I walk back into?
You walked back into a crazy old man
nostalgia time.
Consoles. No, what game did you find?
Agent Under Fire, 007.
Agent Under Fire. See, I play Nintendo 64 007 GoldenEye. That was a great game.
That was a great game.
It was fantastic. So, wait, go back to your story, Mr. G. What is this game console thing?
Well, the TRS-80, the Trash is known as the Trash 80. It was a Radio Shack, which is a electronics store here in the States. And the TRS-80, you can Google TRS-80, and it's this old looking computer.
Oh my god, I just did.
And you would run cassettes for some of the games, like literally a tape cassette. It sounded kind of like listening to the old dial-up modems, and it would play the cassette, and you would load the game via cassette.
That's crazy.
It was super crazy. It was so cool when we finally got cartridges. Like there were some cartridge games that you could just plug in and it would work. But a lot of the games you would go and buy them in these like plastic bags, and it would just be the cassette and then a slip of paper just kind of describing the game. This was back when there was no GameStops. It was very ma and pop computer store, and there was a few games, and you were just digging around for whatever cool game you could find, and I mean, I only remember a few, but a lot of them were rip-offs of, like, there was Pitfall rip-offs and a lot of text adventure type games.
Yeah.
Like kind of like the Zork.
So what's the first mainstream or dedicated game console that you ever purchased?
The first PS3.
Wow, really? Shit.
Yeah.
That's late.
I had computers, growing up, and there weren't I missed so my friends had Ataris.
Yeah.
And I don't know why I never got an Atari, but they had Atari, so I got to play Atari at my friend's house, but we didn't.
Okay.
I don't know if it was too expensive for my parents at the time, or I don't know, but
I remember back
so
then game consoles and games being very expensive.
Oh yeah, I remember my neighbor had Super Mario, and that was amazing. Like playing Super Mario that was such a great game. It's still a great game.
Oh, it definitely is. Like sometimes I go 100%. Back and play on the emulator, but I have a Nintendo 64. It's just back home, but playing, I'll still play Ocarina of Time to this day. I'll still play Super Smash Brothers on the 64 to this day, and games like that. I mean, I feel like that the generation that I grew up in, so I was born in the 90s, early 90s, that the games and the consoles that were around then, I thought would just, it's a really great time to be a gamer. It was a really great time to grow up in that time, because I felt like I had so many great game franchises at my disposal. Like, one of my favorite games, and I probably shouldn't have been playing this at the time, but it was Mortal Kombat on the Super Nintendo. That game was fucking amazing. Like, and having those kinds of games that are still around to this day, I feel like it was the golden time, like the golden age of gaming. What about you, Moo Dude? So you said you played Super Mario Sunshine. What other like major game consoles or games did you play as, growing up?
I had a GameCube, which was my first kind of thing. I had Animal Crossing. That was the very first game.
I didn't even know they made that back then. Shit.
Played on my GameCube, and I'm pretty sure I had The Incredibles or something. That was the second game I ever got.
Okay.
Was that any good?
I can't remember. I remember
it's probably really bad.
I usually hate all movie games. They're just always
they're usually crappy. Pretty trash. But back then, like, that was the shit. It was like, but I remember being extremely scared, like, dying. I'd be like freaking out, like, oh, like screaming at my TV, like I would die in real life if the character in my game would die.
Yeah.
And then I'm pretty sure I got a Wii, and then got some stuff on that.
Interesting.
And I can't remember what I got on my Wii. I got Mario Kart, I think, was my first game on the Wii.
Did you play that with like the wireless wheel or like the motion wheel?
Yeah, it came with the wheel. And I ended up not using the wheel that much because the base kind of controller was it was way better with just the normal kind of thing.
Like the D-pad.
And then I got a Xbox 360, and that's kind of what like introduced me to like the gaming community, besides like, me just like sitting at home and like, just playing Mario Kart with my neighbor or whatever.
Yeah.
With Call of Duty Black Ops. That was my first kind of real AAA huge kind of multiplayer games.
Interesting.
And it still remains my favorite COD today. So.
Okay. Fuck, I love hearing these different types of stories because, like, for example, when I'm talking to Manny on the podcast and I'm like, oh yeah, I played these 64 games, da-da-da, and he never really got into those things, and I have to think, oh yeah, because he's a different age, like not vastly different, but even just a few years completely changes the games you grew up with, the consoles you purchased. It's amazing.
So I gotta say, I grew up going to the arcade, like literally going in and putting. I grew up putting quarters. So for me, I mean, I had the TRS-80, but playing Pac-Man was, I mean, it was freaking amazing. Pac-Man, Galaga, Gauntlet. Oh my gosh, Gauntlet was amazing. Dragon's Lair. That was the first game that had like cartoon. It was the guy this animator who created a game where you make decisions and you move the joystick and your character reacts. It was like, it blew our minds.
That's amazing.
It was so much fun. I love those games. There's a lot of nostalgia. Now, I absolutely love the new generation of games. I think they're amazing.
Yeah. I
mean, there's stuff that's Flash games that are created. I play a lot of free Flash games online, like at this website, congregate.com. And
I remember that. Yeah.
Yeah, I do. I still do that. I actually do game reviews with my kids at school because I'm a teacher, and we'll play games.
That's great.
Games.
That's great. Yeah, you're a good teacher.
I have the best job, by the way, ever. I have the best job because I get to teach, and I teach electives. So I teach computers, and video editing, and I really create my own curriculum.
I'll tell you something, and this is no joke, and I'm not just saying this, but I've always said if I had it, when someone says if I had another life, I'd do this, or if I had another go at growing up and studying, I'd do this differently. So right now, I studied law and I'm working in the law field, but I've always said if I could do it differently, I'd become a teacher. And some people say that, oh, it's shitty pay, all this and that. But I'm like, yeah, but I reckon the job, you can find a real passion in it. I don't know why. I've gone in a completely different direction, but if I could do it again, I'd probably become a teacher.
You could teach law.
But
Could do that.
Yeah,
it's not too late for you. It's not too late.
It's never too late. I could do a year postgrad and be a teacher. It only takes a year because I've got a degree. Right. So at any time, if I ever have a midlife crisis, I could at any time become a teacher.
Become a teacher. Those that do, those that don't become teachers. Or what is that? There's some saying.
Some sort of phrase.
Those that can't teach. No. Oh, what is it? I remember.
You guys need to think of the phrase now.
Oh, those who can't do teach.
Hold up, I'm going to search
Those who can't do teach, and those who can't teach gym. There you go.
It's really funny.
I love School of Rock. Yeah, you're right. Moodoo got it right. Those who can't do teach and those who can't teach gym. That's brilliant.
Gym.
I love it.
I know some really great gym teachers, by the way. So
they're
really good.
Moodoo's just offended everyone.
No, that's good.
Please. I don't want all this in my mentions.
And I'll quickly mention. So I already said that I played Dishonored 2 this week. That was a lot of fun. Like being able to play a game early, and it was interesting how it worked out because around the world there were Dishonored 2 events happening, right? And they were much more publicized. And I think it was like a 20 to 30 minute demo. So to my knowledge, the one that took place in Australia was the first one where Dishonored 2 was played for that long. Like we had 3 hours with the game. So we really did have an extended session, and I just loved it. The game is playing well. It was still in an early beta build. So I think it was locked at, even though it was on PC, it was locked at 30 FPS. It was stuttering at times. There were some glitches, but it was still fun and still enjoyable, and I liked playing as both Corvo and Emily. Emily was definitely my favorite, but aside from that, the gaming news that I want to talk about is, on the topic of consoles and games, is the Nintendo NX. I'm probably going to get one. I hear so much news about it. All these third-party developers or publishers like EA and Ubisoft talking so highly about it. It seems like Nintendo's doing all the right things, and they just haven't announced it yet. And I'm just interested to see what it's like, what this whole hybrid handheld home console thing is all about, because that's the reason why now, like, I'm interested in buying a 3DS, but I don't want to because I want to see what this NX is about. If it's going to be a handheld and a home console crossover, maybe I just stick with that, and we're going to get, Breath of the Wild, Zelda for it. We're probably going to get a Pokemon game, which is going to be one of the a good console Pokemon game, which is awesome. So I'm really looking forward to the NX.
Hey man, the one on GameCube was pretty lit. Okay.
Was that Colosseum?
No, it was Pokemon XD. If you can believe it or not.
Yeah, that's right. Holy shit, you and your GameCube.
Hey, okay.
But that's what they need to do. They need. All right, this is what they need to do, in my opinion. They need to
Here we go.
They need to get like the people that created the world of Skyrim. All right, I'm talking about level design. All right, level design. Those that created Skyrim, and mix that together with the people at Nintendo and create an open world Pokemon game. That's first or third person. I would love that. Like I don't think I'd play any other game ever again. That would be absolutely amazing.
Oh. You have to know that someone is developing that game.
I fucking hope
because
so.
With Pokemon Go, with the popularity of that game, they're like, oh, this is a money pit, right? We can make some bank here. And someone's probably been working on something where they can, creating a world where they're like, okay, what are we going to attach to this world to make this, awesome?
Yeah.
That's
and I'm sure I'm sure right now, like, they've probably tested it and thrown the ideas around in the past, and I'm sure right now that if they were going to do it, the NX would be the time, because I don't think, with the popularity or the lack of popularity of the Wii U, there wasn't really much of a fan base. There wasn't really much of a console base there to release such a hardcore game, and a game that would take so much money and time developing, like an open world Pokemon game would. So I'm hoping that for the NX, because it seems like they're really going all out on this, that this is the console they have to get right. If they don't get the NX right, Nintendo's not going out of business. They literally have billions of dollars in reserves. It's crazy. But if they don't get this right, I think they're going to have to reevaluate whether they ever do a console again and whether they just become a software developer. Because I still think to this day that Nintendo has the best overall IP and franchises, like period, over any other publisher. Even though I haven't purchased a console of theirs or a game of theirs in a very long time. If they can get the console bit right and they can still get third-party developers or publishers like an EA, Ubisoft, then I think that NX can do very, very well. It's just a matter of them not repeating the mistakes that they did with the Wii U. Like, the name of the Wii U was just terrible. Some people thought that it was just an accessory. But that was a good discussion. So we have fan questions. I'm going to reload my Twitter because
here comes.
Yeah, I know.
Wait, did I give my news bit, or
did you give your news bit, or did I miss over it? I skipped over it.
I think I might have forgotten to.
What's your news bit, Mooded? No, keep going.
Probably Mafia 3 that's coming out in like less than a week.
That's right. All right. Yeah.
Really hyped for that, and they're releasing trailers like left and right, and it's looking awesome, like amazing, and all these different YouTubers and people are reviewing it and giving it great ratings, and I just hope it's not going to be like overhyped like Fallout 4 kind of was, and then it got kind of negative attention, because I love Fallout 4, and I just think it was kind of really too hyped, and then that's why it kind of
probably
lots of people gave it like some negative feedback. Also Civilization 6 that's coming out at the end of this month. I'm super hyped for that. I don't know if any of you guys have played Civilization.
Never.
A long time ago. Like
pretty
the old ones. I liked those games. I thought they were a lot of fun.
Yeah, Civ 6 is the newest one that's coming out. Civ 5 was pretty popular on Steam. But yeah, it's like a strategy kind of like you start off like 4000 BC, and then you build up your whole civilization with whatever country or like people you choose to be. I'm probably gonna play as America on my first time playthrough. And then you basically get to Oh my god!
Sure you are.
Although many of us are going to be moving up there, if you believe the Facebook posts and all the posts.
Hey! I watched that presidential debate. I mean, that was interesting.
Hey, so did I. Okay.
Wrong.
Oh man. Yeah, that was. We won't get into that, but let's just say that Canada may be filling up soon, depending on the out.
We don't got many people. It's pretty spacious over here. We need more people in our igloos. Okay.
Neither of you have the right stamina.
Okay. No, don't start, please. I'm sorry I said it. Okay?
I have great temperament. That's all I want to say.
What a boot that moose in my igloo, eh?
Moodude, I wanted to ask you, do you need to have played the original Mafia or Mafia 2 to play Mafia 3? That's the question I want to know.
No.
Is it an isolated story?
Yes, more or less. Like, there are characters that are making like cameos, and then some are like big cameos, like Vito Scaletta, who was the protagonist of Mafia 2, is making like a comeback as one of Lincoln's main lieutenants that you can choose to operate for a district.
Okay.
Which seems to be really cool. But I think more or less you do not need to play the previous Mafia games, unless like you want to know some backstory on some of the characters and how the world is formed and kind of things.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's mostly an isolated story as far as I can tell.
Okay. Interesting. Alrighty, well, let's get to these fan questions. We have a few to get through, and I'll probably just pick 5. At Ratchet,
I have a song for this, by the way.
Oh, you have a song? Did you?
Yeah. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
Fan questions, here they come. That's it. It's called fan questions. Here they come.
All right. Is that the correct word for something like that? A sting? Is that what it's called? Like a 5-second?
Yeah, that's like a sting. Yeah, it's like a sting.
I love
it. It's like a short little.
Yeah.
It's like a sting or a stinger.
Cool. Alrighty. So Ratchet570 asks, what's the sequel that improved most on its predecessor? I thought that was a really, really good question.
Oh yeah, I saw that. Yeah.
So we'll start with you, Moodude. What do you think?
I don't know. I would probably get too much hate for saying Fallout 4.
In some ways you'd be right.
Does it have to be a game that's come out already?
Not necessarily. Are you going to say Mafia?
No, I was gonna say Civ 6 because of all the new stuff they're adding and all the stuff they're fixing. But for a game that's already out right now,
Yeah,
I would probably say Grand Theft Auto 5.
that's a good answer. Yeah. What about you, Mr.
No,
G?
I've heard. I'll go Fallout 4.
All right.
I'll take. I'm your Huckleberry for that. I thought it was great.
You'll take the hit.
I loved all the things that happened in Fallout 4. You know, I think they did a great job. And I'm really looking forward to Goat Simulator 2 also. I'm really hoping that.
I can't stand simulators. I've never gotten into that. My answer is probably going to be obvious to a lot of people that listen to me, but Assassin's Creed 2, I thought, went leaps and bounds beyond the original Assassin's Creed, which in many different ways was very repetitive and it was the same thing over and over again. In particular, collecting all the flags and stuff, it was just very boring and drab. But the second Assassin's Creed, especially in terms of story and Ezio as a character, they did so well with that. I absolutely loved it. So we need to think of it. Oh, here we go. At the real PJ, it's an interesting name, buddy, asks, why hasn't the modding community for Fallout 4 been as good as Skyrim's? Mr. G?
Why hasn't the modding community been... say that again?
Why hasn't the modding community for Fallout 4 been as good as Skyrim's?
As a non-modder, I would have a hard time answering that question, but I'm going to say because you had the Obsidian, you had those first two games that sort of established the fantasy world. And so maybe there's a community that's been built around longer than when you got into like Fallout 3. So you already had like a huge group of people who were very into that world.
I'd be interested to know, in terms of size, whether Elder Scrolls community or fan base is bigger than Fallout's. I don't know. I have absolutely no idea. I've always thought that they're just relatively the same, or they cross over to a lot of different extents. But Moodude, what do you think about this question?
I mod my Fallout, all my Fallout games that I've had. Well, Fallout 3 and Fallout 4 and Fallout New Vegas.
So how is the Fallout 4 modding community, in your opinion?
I think it's pretty good, but a lot of modders have kind of dropped out, and some of the big ones like DD Productions have kind of just dropped out of making mods because of people stealing mods and putting them onto Bethesda Net or whatever. That whole kind of scandalous thing. But I think the modding community seems to be probably about as good as Skyrim's, because I've modded both games, but it's not as big yet, obviously, because Skyrim's been out for a couple of years and Fallout 4 has just been out for almost a year now.
Yeah, that's the thing that I think people need to bear in mind. And I've probably been guilty of this in the past when I just say, Skyrim's modding community is better. Is that, Skyrim's been released, was released 2011, so it's had 5 years to develop and nurture. Whereas Fallout 4, was released late 2015, so it's had, almost a year? God, it hasn't even been a year yet. It's a year next month, I think.
Yeah. So it has more mods than the Fallout 3 Nexus does.
Definitely. Right, I think it's without a doubt, it's bigger and better than the modding for Fallout 3 and New Vegas. But Skyrim's modding community, I don't know, I guess it had that special feeling to it. And I never was, in the heyday of Skyrim modding, but I came very late. But to see, even coming late in 2014, I believe I started modding Skyrim, just how many mods were there and were still coming out for that game, still 3 years after the release. It was just an amazing thing to see. And still all of these quest mods. It definitely was.
It was a great world. And people wanted to stay there and they wanted to be a part of it. And that I think that's why people like. I mean, I think that's the same with Fallout. I felt that way about Fallout 3, man. I love that world. I still,
me too.
I think I could still find things in Fallout 3 that I didn't find. And people want to extend that experience, and Bethesda made that a lot easier for everyone to do. And I think probably with Skyrim, maybe that was the first time it was maybe easier to do. I'm guessing. And I don't know because I haven't done the modding, but I mean, was there modding for like before that? Could you mod the previous?
Yeah, you can mod Fallout 3. I'm pretty sure
you can mod Fallout 3 definitely, and I think you could mod Oblivion as well.
Is it because of the tools that Bethesda gave? Like, were there a tool set, or is this? I mean,
yeah, there's the GEC.
Yeah, like
But,
Bethesda
right, okay.
as far as my memory goes, and I could be completely wrong about this, Bethesda has always released the modding tools to the community. And I think with the case of Fallout 4, because the modding tools, even though Fallout 4 has been released since November of last year, the modding tools were released, I think it was mid this year or something like that. So even like in terms of the great mods and, getting those really high quality mods, you really do need the GECK. So if we actually take into account that the GECK has only been out for Fallout 4 for, I don't know, maybe 6 months, it's roughly something like that, then I think it's a bit tough to judge Fallout 4's modding community yet. And I think we need to give it time to grow and nurture and maybe come back in a couple of years and say, all right, now how does it compare to Skyrim's? Because as you guys have said, I think it was Moo Dude, Fallout 4, in terms of the number of mods that are released, much more than Fallout 3, much more than New Vegas already, I believe. And it is growing, it is getting better. There are new mods coming out all the time. Gopher has a modding series on Fallout 4, and he's always talking about the newest and greatest mods that are coming out. I think maybe why some people think the modding community isn't as good is maybe more so leaning towards people's sentiments towards Fallout 4 as a game, and not necessarily the mods around it. Because, it had the voice protagonist and all these changes, and people just didn't like Fallout 4 as much as they liked Skyrim. I don't know. I think it's around that.
Can I throw in a quick piece of modding news
Sure.
for Fallout 4?
Sure.
The creator of Fallout Dust, I'm pretty sure you guys know what Fallout Dust. I'm pretty sure Lone knows what Fallout Dust is.
Yeah.
For Fallout New Vegas, has created Fallout Frost for for Fallout 4. And it's in early alpha, but it looks pretty good.
Have you tried it?
I have it downloaded. I haven't tried it, but I've downloaded it, and it's a pretty hefty download. But what it looks like is basically it's changed like the whole world, and like just like Fallout Dust is, like none of the main storyline almost exists. It's pretty sure it's set right after the Great War happens, so you're not really allowed to go outside. You're mostly in the subway tunnels, and then when you do go outside, you have to use like a gas mask, and there's this whole gas
so it's
mask
very
system and
Metro
stuff.
feely. Okay, I
Yeah.
like that. Yeah.
So it looks really cool, and it's pretty sure it's mod of the month right now on the Nexus.
It's interesting that you brought that up, because there was actually a question at Dr. O'Neill asked that very same thing. So he said, what do you think of Fallout 4's version of Dust, now called Frost? Yeah, so it is interesting. And I did like Metro's kind of, you spend most of the time in the subway and you only emerge, for certain things. And it's like, in terms of danger and in terms of radiation, it's much harsher than what Fallout's above ground is or has ever been. So I do like that, and I might check it out. It might get me to play Fallout again if I have the time. So at J Carriage asks, what do you think Scorpio's starting bundle will be priced at, and launch games that utilize its power? I think that's an interesting question. We'll start with you, Mr. G. What do you think that the Scorpio could be priced at? Because it is such a beefy 4K console, it seems.
Oh gosh, I
guess.
Let's see,
Give a random guess.
$99.99. It's gonna be a 99. It'll be like a $299.99 or $199. So that you're thinking, oh wow, it's in the hundreds. I can afford that, or the 200. I don't know.
What about you, Moody? What do you think?
I don't know, because the Xbox One, when that first came out, that was $500, right? And then lots of people were getting really mad that it was so expensive, so they ended up lowering it to $400.
Yeah.
But I think it's probably going to be priced around $400.
I think that's very low. I think
really,
if it's 4K, right, they're probably going to jack it up.
I mean,
because people that are buying it are going to own fancier TVs. They're going to have more.
Yeah,
that's true.
More cash.
The thing I will say is that literally from the Xbox One, we're going from a console that can barely do 1080p 60 FPS, and it's usually subpar 1080p 30 FPS, to a console that seemingly can do full 4K, native 4K, and at the very least 30 FPS, and I don't know if they're going to 60. I have no idea. It seems like they could, but the kind of hardware that you need to do that, I think at the very least it might be a $550 to $600 console US. So I think in Australia it could be $700. I think that's a fair. Honestly though, because the kind of hardware that you need to run that kind of that kind of 4K games and especially at a stable frame rate, it'll be expensive. It'd be very expensive. And I can't see them undercutting the price to that extent and just make such a huge loss because, God, like, there's no way. I mean, right now, in the US, Mr. G, I don't know if you know, or Moodude in Canada, what's the Xbox One S priced at? Is it $400 or is it $350 or what?
I'm pretty sure the S is priced less than the regular Xbox, I'm pretty sure, or priced at the same price. So I'm pretty sure it should be $400.
So I'm going to say $600. Or no, I'm going to say $599. That's what I think it'll be. It'll be $599. But
in the US or
US,
in Australia?
In US. I think it'll be $599 US. It'll be $699 Australia, and Canada will probably be $649 or something like that.
I know, because I have a 1070 for my computer, and that I read somewhere that ran 4K at a steady 60 FPS, I think, just barely.
Ooh.
And I know, yeah, I saved a lot up for that one, but and that was in Canadian around $700, and I'm pretty sure in American it's around $300. So I don't know, because
obviously
it's a lot of syrup.
So it's a lot of Canada money.
A lot of Canadian syrup.
Obviously, they're manufacturing a lot of these consoles, so the individual cost for them is going to be, not as much. It's not like they're selling one graphics card and they have to sell it at $300. They're making so many of these consoles, so they get a good deal, from Nvidia or whoever's making the graphics card for them. So I don't think it's going to be like $700-800 console. I think that'd be crazy to release an $800 console. I think that's way too much, because when it's $800 US, then it's $900, or sometimes it'll probably be like over $1,000 in some countries.
Right. Oh my gosh.
Right. I think that's too much.
Be Australian for all that stuff, man.
I know,
the import is just.
I know, with all these games coming out, all these new consoles coming out, like the NX and then the PlayStation Pro and the Xbox Scorpio. Man, I'm gonna have to sell my polar bear. It's gonna be
sell a limb.
Don't you ride an elk or something? What is it? Don't all Canadians have an
elk?
An elk? Is it elk?
Well, our national animal.
Oh, it's moose.
Our national. Yeah, moose. Yeah, there you go. There you go.
We all ride moose everywhere, right? I mean, that's
bloody hell.
Apparently.
I love how each country has its stereotypical
Not in Ontario,
animal.
where I live. Not in Ontario.
Ontario.
But,
is it snowing all the time there? Is it just always cold?
It is not snowing, no.
What is the weather where you guys are? It's flipping hot here.
I'm pretty sure it's kind of cool, actually, right now. It's kind of cold.
Hot.
Interesting.
Weird.
Well, you're in LA, right? So
yeah, we're in the LA area. Yeah.
Yeah, so that would be very warm. I remember when I went to LA many, many years ago. LA just it was in the summertime too. Just a hot place, fucking hot, humid from memory. Anyways, I don't know if I'm wrong about that. Am I way off, Mr. G?
It's not usually humid, but it definitely is hot, and it's hot. Yeah. We keep the heat for a long time, so it's looking like we're gonna have a hot. I hate it when it's hot this time of the year. I like the cold. I like to have a little rain, but I don't know if it's going to happen. So, Oh well.
Well, we've reached the 1 hour mark in this podcast, so I think it's a good time to end it. Mr. G, Moodude, thank you so much for joining, and especially at the last minute, because it was very last minute, this podcast. Again, those that are listening or watching, click on their Mr. G's channel in the description below, and also their Twitter handles on screen for both G and Moodude. Guys, thank you so much. Probably get you some time again in the future. It's so hard getting people that have good mics. That's the one thing. You guys can say goodbye in your own way.
It's essential, man. Audio is the main thing.
Hey, you gotta play one CSGO casual match, and you'll see what the definition of bad mics are, okay?
Trust me, I know.
It's pretty bad.
I once went back to play Xbox 360 using the headset. I never remembered how bad the mics were then with those original 360 headsets, because the Xbox One did a huge job in improving that. You go back, it's disgusting. It's horrible. And I hate listening to podcasts with bad mics. I really do. So I'm hoping the audio quality for this podcast is good. I'll re-listen to it and fix things if it's necessary. But guys, thank you so much. And like the way I like to end every single podcast, I always get the guests to end it. So I'm not going to give them any direction. They're going to fight between themselves and end the podcast however they seem fit, because it's going to be funny. So thank you so much for watching at this stage. Apologies again for Noah and Mr. Matty. And yeah, guys, take it away.
All right, are you ready? We're gonna do this in the key of G. Are you ready?
What?
You start singing, and I got your chords. We're writing the outro song right now.
All right.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you for listening to H.A.M Radio. It's been Lone and Steve G and Moo Dude. And would you kindly stay sexy, stay active. I love you all.
It's terrible.
Peace.
The end.